بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداهم إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. For every day that we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we wake up and we say Alhamdulillah الذي أحيانا بعدما أماتنا وإليه النشور. Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gave us life after the death and to Him belongs the resurrection. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are living another day from the month of Ramadan, and at the moment we have passed 1/3 of the Ramadan and we're going towards the second third, and we're getting close to even the middays of Ramadan. In 2 nights and will be the 15th night of Ramadan. And we are at the moment in the last bits regarding the chapter of the fast, the Siyam, and we will be continuing now talking about the Laylatul Qadr, the night of the decree, or the night of the power, whatever you want to call it. For verily, the night of Al-Qadr has great virtues. It is better, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in Surah Al-Qadr, better than 1,000 months. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ. Verily, we have revealed it in the night of Al-Qadr. Here, it means the Quran. And the revelation of the Quran was in 2 phases. One, which is a whole lump, the whole of it, went down from the preserved tablet to the Bayt al-Izzah, the house of might, which is in the nearest heaven. And that happened in the night of Al-Qadr. And then it was from there taken down to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, the first verse which was revealed to the Prophet of Allah in Surah Al-Alaq, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق. Those verses were revealed in also the night of Al-Qadr. And the hadith, which our Shaykh Al-Albani makes it authentic, that it talks about the books which were revealed to the prophets, and they were revealed, all of them, in the month of Ramadan. For verily we find that the book of the Suhuf that went down to Ibrahim and to Musa alayhi salam and to Dawood the Zabur, and the Torah to Musa and the Injil to Isa alayhi salam. And the month of Ramadan was specified by the night of Al-Qadr. It was the 25th night according to what we believe is the correct opinion, and it was revealed on 25th. That was verses from Surah Al-Alaq. The first 5 verses of Surah Al-Alaq were revealed in the 25th night of Ramadan. It doesn't mean the 25th night of Ramadan is the night of Al-Qadr, as we're going to see inshallah in details. But the night of Al-Qadr is going to inshallah be disclosed very soon, and we're going to see when the night of Al-Qadr it is. So the night of Al-Qadr, it witnesses the revelation of the last testimony, along with that the books that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had sent, and we only know 5 of them. You could add the 6th one, which is the Suhuf Ibrahim and Suhuf Musa. The Suhuf Musa plus the Torah of Musa. If you consider them 2, then there will be another addition of another book. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. And this is always, Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the verse, when He repeats something to show the greatness of that. And what makes you know the night of Al-Qadr? Laylatul Qadr, the night of Al-Qadr, خَيْرٌ مِنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ. It is better than 1,000 months. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر. The angels are sent down with great numbers, as we're going to see, more than the numbers of the sand, as the Prophet said. And وَالروح, Jibreel alayhi salam, the head of the angels, by the permission of the Lord, with كل أمر. كل أمر means with all أمر, with all decree. سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. That is peace. It is until the appearance of the dawn. So in this ayat, we find Al-Allama Al-Sa'di rahimahullah explains that Laylatul Qadr khayru min alfi shahr, that the virtues of it is equivalent to the virtues of making good deeds in 1,000 months. Subhanallah. And this is something amazing. 1,000 months is more than 80 years. I'm talking about even more than 83 years. And this has been interpreted in the tafsir of Al-Allama Al-Sa'di and also in tafsir Ibn Kathir. We find that you could imagine that if a person is living for more than 80 years in the ibadah, yet that is equivalent to ibadah of one night. And this is only for the Muslim Ummah. For verily, the nations before us, they used to have longer ages than us, and our age, the average of it is between 60 and 70. Whereas the age of other generations and other other nations before us, we find that Nuh alayhi salam, the Prophet before him as well, Adam alayhi salam, 1,000 years. Nuh alayhi salam was calling to Allah more than 950 years. So 950 years calling to Allah, how long he did live? So the 1,900, that's a long time. So a person living for that time and making ibadah, we will never be able to catch up with his ibadah unless we do have nights and days where deeds are multiplied in such a way that would equalize the ibadah of those people who have been worshipping for 500 years, 600 years, and so on and so on. So imagine now that a person, he is in one night of Al-Qadr, he's getting the ibadah of more than 80 years. So if you are living for, let's say 60 years, and you're going to be fasting, let's say 30 Ramadans, 40 Ramadans, and each Ramadan contains a night of Al-Qadr. So that is, if you multiply by 40 by 80, that's more than 3,000 years. So you're making an ibadah in your time more than a person who would live more than 3,000 years. That's if you have fasted 40 Ramadans. And that is saying that you lived for 55 years or 60 years, or you started to fast when you were 15 years old. So this is a blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us in this ummah. Laylatul Qadr. This is a night, تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالْرُوحُ فِيهَا. Angels in this night, they appear in it in large numbers. We do have a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, which is authentic, where the Prophet ﷺ, he said that the angels on that night are greater than the number of the pebbles. And the pebbles are countless. You can't count the pebbles, can you? Can you count the pebbles? You can't. Same thing is more, Prophet said, more than the number of the pebbles. قال إن الملائكة في تلك الليلة في الأرض, on the earth, more أكثر من عدد الحصى, more than the pebbles. And that's amazing. And that's this hadith made authentic by our Shaykh Al-Albani in his Silsila As-Sahiha, and it is Hasan. Right. Now, so this is a night where it is a night of barakah, a night of mercy. Not only that, Allah says, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةٍ مُبَارَكَةٍ. We have verily revealed it in a very blessed night. إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةٍ مُبَارَكَةٍ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also, he said, فِيهَا يُفْرَقُ كُلُّ أَمْرٍ حَكِيمٍ. In that night, the decree is being set. So, on فِيهَا يُفْرَقُ كُلُّ أَمْرٍ حَكِيمٍ. In contrast to the other people who say that is the midnight of Sha'ban, where the decree takes place, which is not correct. It's actually on the night of Al-Qadr, where the angel takes his decree for the whole year. So every year he takes it in the night of Al-Qadr, what's going to happen for the full year is going to take place. The angel of death, he will take all those people who will die in that year. فِيهَا يُفْرَقُ كُلُّ أَمْرٍ حَكِيمٍ. So in that night is a night that is being specified by the revelation of the Quran, the last of the Testaments, a night which has the angels, and also Jibreel alayhi salam is the head of them, and also it's a night where the decree of the year takes place, or is being said. When do we seek that night? That is the most important thing. Now, for verily, we find that the Prophet ﷺ, knowing that the revelations of the other books, they were in the month of Ramadan. So a Prophet of Allah used to make i'tikaf at the first 10 nights of Ramadan. And i'tikaf means seclusion. I'tikaf, as we're going to talk about i'tikaf, inshallah. I'tikaf is seclusion, that he would stay in the masjid for the nights and the days. And we will not go out unless it is something like a necessity. A necessity here, it is like something, for example, praying the Jumu'ah, if there was no Jumu'ah in there. And so the Prophet ﷺ, after that, he shifted his i'tikaf to the middle days, from the 11th to the 20th. So he started making i'tikaf in the middays of Ramadan. Then after that, the Prophet ﷺ, he's been shown the night of Al-Qadr to be in the last 10 nights. That is why he commanded for his tent, which was in the masjid, little tent, and to be taken down and to be reset onto the last 10 nights. So the Prophet of Allah, he came out from his tent and he said, for verily I have been shown that the night of Al-Qadr, that everybody was seeking, it looks like they have the knowledge of it, that it is to be in the last 10 nights. He who wanted, he had made i'tikaf with me in these nights, he could make i'tikaf as well with me in the following nights. So he made i'tikaf in the last 10 nights. For verily the Prophet ﷺ, before he died, he made i'tikaf 20 nights instead of 10. And the Prophet ﷺ, when he was shown it was in the last 10 nights, he was about also to define and pinpoint exactly the night of Al-Qadr. So straight away he wanted to come out and tell the people, he said, for verily, I was about to tell you, but two people, they disputed with one another. The riwayah says, يحتقان or يختصمان, that they are in quarrel with each other. So يحتقان, they are quarreling with one another. قال معهما الشيطان, along with them is the shaitan. It shows you that always when the Muslims quarrel, shaitan is what? Present. He wants to make sure that the fight will end up with the biggest thing, which is what? One killing the other one, or both killing each other. This is the ultimate, the goal, the target of the shaitan. ومعهما الشيطان, the quarrel. قال فنسيتها. Because of that, I was made to forget it. And the hadith says فنسيتها, and this is an etiquette. Whenever you forget something, you don't say, I forgot, I was made to forget. فنسيتها, I was made to forget. So not فنسيتها, I was made to forget. فالتمسوها في العشر الأواخر, seek that night of Al-Qadr, the great night, in the last 10 nights min Ramadan, of Ramadan. And then he emphasized the following: التمسوها في التاسعة والسابعة والخامسة. This hadith was narrated by Abi Sa'id al-Khudri. The companion or the follower, who is from the Tabi'een, was listening to this hadith. He said, Ya Aba Sa'id, O Abu Sa'id, he's asking the companion, for verily you know better than us regarding the numbers. What is the meaning of Tasi'ah, 9th, and the Sabi'ah, the 7th, and the Khamisah, the 5th? So he said, if 21 had passed, then the following one is 22nd, and this is the 9th. And if 23 had passed, then the following one is the 7th, which makes it the 25th. I am saying that what makes it 25th, but before he said the 22nd. And when 25 passed, then it is the 5th, which makes it the 27th. This is how the counting of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Not only that, we have Abdullah ibn Unais radiallahu anhu, from the companions. He said, the Messenger of Allah, he said, I have shown, I was made to see in my vision the night of Al-Qadr, and then I was made to forget it, and I saw myself into that night of Al-Qadr, that the following Fajr, I was prostrating in water and mud. So the Prophet of Allah, he saw the night of Al-Qadr, which night it is. He forgot, he was made to forget, but not, he just remembered, the thing he just remembered, that on the following Fajr, he was prostrating in what? Mud and water. So, Abdullah ibn Unais, he said, for verily, we have been sent the rain for 3 nights consecutively. Sorry, we've been sent the rain in the Ramadan in the 23rd night. And the Prophet ﷺ, he prayed for us that night, and on the following day we saw him when he prayed the Fajr that his forehead was having the trace of mud and water. So he interpreted the hadith Abdullah ibn Unais, that is the night of Al-Qadr that the Prophet ﷺ saw in his vision is the 23rd 23rd. So Abdullah ibn Unais, whenever he was asked about the night of Al-Qadr, he would have said it is the 23rd. We will see now, according to what we believe is the night of Al-Qadr, the last conclusion of this. But this is Abdullah ibn Unais, the companion, where he heard the Prophet of Allah. He said, I saw a vision of the night of Al-Qadr, then I was made to forget it, but I remember that the following morning I was prostrating in mud and water. Then Abdullah ibn Unais, he said, we have been sent the rain on the 23rd of the night, the 23rd night of Ramadan, and the Prophet of Allah, he led us in the prayer, and when he left, I saw the trace of mud and water onto his forehead and onto his nose as well. Onto his nose. So Abdullah ibn Unais, whenever he was asked, used to say it is the 23rd night. Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, seek the night of Al-Qadr in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Seek it in tasi'atin tabqa, in 9 nights remaining. Fi sabi'atin tabqa, in 7 remaining. So in the 9th night that remains, or the 7th night that remains, I'll explain that. And fi khamisatin tabqa, and the 5th night that remains. Now the 9th night that remains, that is means the night of the 21st. The night of the 21st. And the 7th night that remains, that is the 23rd. And the 5th night that remains, that is the 25th night. So that is another hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, heard by Abdullah ibn Abbas. And Mu'adh ibn Jabal, that the Prophet ﷺ, he said that he was asked, the Messenger of Allah, about the night of Al-Qadr, and he said it is in the night, or the last 10 nights of Ramadan, or it is in the 5th or the 3rd. Again, here, the 5th or the 3rd refers to those nights, which is the 25th and the 27th. So we got now 23rd, 25th, and 27th. Also, Abdullah ibn Abbas said the Prophet ﷺ, he said, it is in the last 10 nights, in 9 nights had passed, or 7 nights had remained. 9 nights had passed, which means the 29th night. 9 nights had passed. That is from counting from the beginning of the first night of the last 10. The 9 night passed and the 29th night. Or the 7 nights had remained, meaning the 27th night. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, he said that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, seek the night of Al-Qadr in the last night in Ramadan. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, what he says as a summary. For very, when he was asked, the night of Al-Qadr, when is it? And he was in his prison in Al-Qal'a. And he was answering with the following. He said, for very, Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah, Laylatul Qadr, the night of Al-Qadr, for verily, it is a night, it comes in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And it was narrated with authentic chains from the Prophet ﷺ that it is in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And it is in the odd numbers of it. But the odd, he says, it could be the odd regarding the number of nights that had passed or the number of nights that had remained. So, the odd nights, when we say the 21st night, 23rd night, 25th night, 27th night, 29th night. And if we're going to calculate that, from the end of Ramadan, then that depends how many nights in Ramadan. Is it 29 nights or is it 30 nights? So if it's 29 nights, we're going to get the 21st, the 22nd. Do you understand me? So the 30 nights different from 29 nights. So if the Ramadan finishes by 30 days, then we have 30 nights of Ramadan. So we have 30 nights of Ramadan. If it is the case, then the 9 nights, there will be 21st, 23rd, 25th, 27th, 29th. But if it is 29 nights, then we have 22nd and 24th and 26th and 28th, which makes it all of the nights, whether they are odd or even counting from the beginning. So Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, according to his interpretation, that he says that the night of Al-Qadr is the nights of all the nights of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And that's why the Prophet said, "Taharruha," seek it in the last nights of Ramadan. But there are more, you could say, emphasis on nights than others. There are more emphasis in the last 7 nights that remains. That is the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th. And not only that, we have Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu. He used to make an oath that the night of Al-Qadr is the 27th night. And Allah Azza wa Jal, He could really show this night to some of the people in their sleep, or He could show it to them while they are awake, so you could see the lights of it, or you could see something that would make them believe it's the night of Al-Qadr. Or we could say that the person as well, he could see some of those signs of that night. Coming back to the hadith of Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu. Ubay ibn Ka'b, he heard Abdullah ibn Mas'ud saying, if the person made the night qiyam for whole of the year, definitely will get the night of Al-Qadr. Of course, if you stay up for qiyam every night of the whole year, definitely you're going to get the night of Al-Qadr, because you can't really have the night of Al-Qadr except in the year, in the whole night. You can't borrow nights from somewhere else. So Ubay ibn Ka'b, he said, for verily, may Allah have mercy upon Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, but I by Allah, and he made an oath, وَالَّذِي لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّهُ. He's emphasizing his oath, by the one that there is no God worthy of worship except for him. It is in Ramadan. And he did not say, Insha'Allah. That means emphasis. It is in Ramadan. And by Allah, I know which night it is. It is the night which the Prophet of Allah commanded us to stay in prayer, to make the qiyam. And that is the night which is the night of the 27th. That is the night of the 27th day. So it is the night preceding the 27th day, which is the 27th night. And the signs of that night, that the sun would rise in the morning of that night, bayda, clear, white, la shu'a alaha, that there is no rays for it. Bayda, nadarish, hamra, feeble, weak, red. So this night of Al-Qadr, it has some description. Number one, it is night where it is talqa, sabha. As hadith of Allah ibn Abbas, he said, the night of Al-Qadr is pleasant night, easy night. So it's not cold, it's not hot. In relation to your temperature in that country. Okay, that's number one. Number two, and it is a night where the sun of the following day comes out feeble, weak, and it's white, brass dish, yet has no rays. So you could look at it comfortably. And we believe that also that night of Al-Qadr is not set to one night. That's the conclusion that we believe that it is correct. That it is not set to one particular night. Because we could find Abdullah ibn Unais, he said the 23rd night. We find that, for example, Ubay ibn Ka'b, he said it's the 27th night. We find that Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, he said the 23rd, 25th, 27th. We find Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said 23, 24, 25, 27, 29. So it looks like that the night of Al-Qadr at the time of Ubay ibn Ka'b, in that year, yes, it was the 27th night. But in the year of Abdullah ibn Unais, it was the 23rd night. So the night of Al-Qadr, it shifts. It could be the same night in this year and the following year. It could be a different night. But definitely it is in the last 10 nights. So we say that if the person is able to make the qiyam for that night of Al-Qadr, which is a Taraweeh prayer, with the Imam, and don't forget, there is no such thing, extra qiyam for that night. No, it is the 11th rak'ah. And 11 rak'ah without 2 rak'ah of the sunnah is 13. Nothing more than that. 11 rak'ah. This is the qiyam, and this is the salatul layl, and this is the witr, and this is the tahajjud. 4 names for it. Qiyamul layl, salatul layl, tahajjud, witr, all of those exactly the 11 rak'ah. So don't you ever think that there's 11 rak'ah Prophet of Allah, he had made salatul layl, and there is tahajjud he made. You're wrong. Tahajjud is the same as qiyam. is the same as Salat al-Layl. It's the same as the witr prayer, and the scholars, they have given the title of Taraweeh to those qiyam in Ramadan. Taraweeh, because of raha. Between each 4 rak'ah there's like a break, basically. So it is like the salah of the break. Salah al-Taraweeh, salah of the break. So we find that we are in front of a number of opinions from the companions, which makes us believe the night of Al-Qadr is not set to a particular night. But if you were not able to do the whole of the night, then there are emphasis on the last 7 nights. So you could skip 21st, 22nd, and you could start from the 23rd. And there is more emphasis on the, if you can't do these, on the last 5 nights, 25th, 26th and forward. If you can't do that, then the 27th, don't miss it. So there are emphasis, but we can't say that it is on the 27th. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Now we come to the i'tikaf. And what time is the i'tikaf? Allah al-Musta'an. أنا بعرف هذا بس الثاني اللي راح ذكرت في الأول. الله المستعان. الله المستعان. خير. الاعتكاف, seclusion. Al-i'tikaf means to lock yourself, to abide yourself with something. And when you say akaf al-makan, that he had restricted himself to a particular place. He locked on himself into a particular place. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالْهَدْيَ مَعْكُوفًا أَنْ يَبْلُغَ مَحِلَّهُ. And in the religious terminology, i'tikaf means to stay in the masjid from a particular person on a particular way. And in terms of legality, for verily we find no difference among the scholars that the i'tikaf is something from the deen, and the Prophet of Allah used to make i'tikaf in the last 10 nights of Ramadan until he passed away. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said the Prophet of Allah used to make i'tikaf in Ramadan, in every Ramadan, for 10 days. But it was the year that he died in it, he made i'tikaf for 20 days, as we have said before. So our Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah, he says that i'tikaf in the masjid is to be sunnah in Ramadan, and also it is no problem to make sunnah in other days of Ramadan, because the Prophet of Allah, he made i'tikaf in Shawwal. He made i'tikaf in Shawwal, which is the month following Ramadan. But the best of the i'tikaf is in Ramadan. And the best of the i'tikaf of Ramadan is in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Why? Because the Prophet of Allah, he made the i'tikaf in those last 10 nights when he had been shown that the night of Al-Qadr is in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. The ruling of it. It is recommended except if it became a vow. So you vow to make i'tikaf, it becomes compulsory. What makes it sunnah is the Prophet ﷺ has done it, and he kept doing it and consistently, and to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seeking his rewards, and also his wives, may Allah be pleased with them, also made i'tikaf with him and after his death. So that to show us it is a sunnah. And we find that there is consensus, ijma', that the i'tikaf, it is not compulsory upon the people unless it is being made compulsory by the person himself by vowing it, otherwise it is sunnah. So it is consensus, it is not obligatory to make i'tikaf. And Aisha radiallahu anha, she said that the Prophet he said, he who had vowed to do something that is to obey Allah, then let him fulfill his vow. And he who vowed to disobey Allah then let him not to disobey. Umar al-Khattab, he came to the Prophet and he said, Messenger of Allah, I have vowed in the Jahiliyyah before Islam, that is to make i'tikaf a night in the Masjid al-Haram. So the Prophet he said, fulfill your vow. So he had made i'tikaf for a night. What is the aim and the purpose of i'tikaf? The purpose of i'tikaf is to take you away from the hostel of the apostle. For verily your heart, to be a heart which is cleansed, heart attached to the religion, heart which is closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it has to be detached from all the things that preoccupy it and you could say disturb it, and also makes it to lose its concentration and focusing. So Allah Azza wa Jalla in the month of Ramadan, He took the food and the intercourse and the drink because they as well make an impact on the heart and make him to lose his focus. So also the i'tikaf takes away the mixing of the people, because I think just mixing with your mobile takes a lot of your time, takes your heart away. Just taking that mobile away, you're taking a lot of things and you're bringing a lot of time for yourself. The amount of time that I look myself into the mobile is huge. Yes, I might be answering a question and on top of that, and sorry for those people that can't answer their question because there are too many. But the thing is, even though I want to do something, and when I go to one message, it gives me to another message, to the third message, and I look at the time, half an hour is gone, an hour is gone, 2 hours is gone. SubhanAllah. And if I want to keep it away, it's very essential for me to keep it with me. So, i'tikaf, first thing you get ready for, you put the phone where? Away. That's the i'tikaf. Can't take it with you. No way. Regardless, you don't speak to people, because you're going to be speaking to people with this mobile. So put it away. The i'tikaf is to take this mobile away. And for emergency, for what we want to know about that is why the i'tikaf was made, is actually to make sure that the person away from all those things that would disturb his heart and make him to focus. And when he's focusing now, when you communicate with people and socialize, you become close to them, isn't it? Now, at the moment, you're communicating with whom? With Allah. So you become closer to Allah. And that would help you when you die. Because you're going to be alone in the grave. Who's going to be with you? Allah Azza wa Jalla. You're dead. Your deeds is the one going to help you to get closer to Allah. So that would help you to get over that sort of thing. When I die, wahdatul qabr. I'm on my own in the grave. Okay, I'm on my own. So that is a training session for the i'tikaf. When you make it, you are actually getting closer to Allah, because the only companion with you that you are speaking to, communicating with, and also making ibadah to and for is Allah the Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why the aim of the i'tikaf. It's time. The time of it is the i'tikaf. If you made the i'tikaf a vow, you have to fulfill the vow accordingly. But the i'tikaf, we said, in the whole of the year, best of it is Ramadan. The last 10 of Ramadan is the best of it. In terms of its conditions. Yes, there are conditions for the i'tikaf. Number one, Muslim. Because لَإِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ عَمَلُكَ وَلَقَدْ أُوحِيَ إِلَيْكَ وَالَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ. It is being revealed to you, O Muhammad, and the ones who before you, that if you commit shirk, you're going to be having what? All your deeds invalidated. So Islam, of course, a condition for your fast to be accepted, for your i'tikaf to be accepted, for anything to be accepted. Number two, sanity. If you are insane, you're not required. رُفِعَ الْقَلَمْ عَنْ ثَلَاثٍ. Pen has been raised from 3. One of them is the insane, and the other becomes sane. As the i'tikaf itself, 3, is that it has to be in the masajid. وَلَا تُبَاشِرُوهُنَّ وَأَنْتُمْ عَاكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِد. And Aisha radiallahu anha, she said, as-sunnah, that means from the Prophet, as-sunnah, in i'tikaf, that it has to be in the masjid. So, لَا اعْتِكَافَ إِلَّا فِي masjid. And then she said, jami'. Jami' means it's got the Jumu'ah in it. So from the condition of the i'tikaf is to be in a masjid, and that masjid is to have the Jumu'ah in it. Because you cannot make i'tikaf and there is Jumu'ah somewhere else, and then you go out for the Jumu'ah from the i'tikaf, you have to stay. So those scholars, like the Ahnaf, who said the i'tikaf can be done in the house, no such thing. Al-i'tikaf has to be an i'tikaf in the masjid. And it's masjid jama' as Aisha radiallahu anha. وَلَا اعْتِكَافَ إِلَّا فِي مَسْجِدٍ جَامِعٍ أو مَسْجِدِ جَمَاعٍ. So the masjid has to be masjidin jama', has to be the Jumu'ah in it. Now, before we go to another specification, just to make sure that you understand that There are some masajid, if you go to them, like in our countries, you'll find on the pulpit or somewhere written on the wall, نويت الاعتكاف في هذا المسجد ما دمت فيه. عندكم هذا الشيء؟ ما عندكم. We from in Jordan and other places in Palestine and Syria, we have this, and I remember seeing it on the wall, alhamdulillah, we painted it. That it says there, I intend to make i'tikaf in the masjid as long as I'm in it. وين الأردن يعني؟ ما تتذكر؟ تبغى تصلي ولا ايش؟ الأخ هذاك أردني ولا ايش؟ لا لا أخي هذا شيخ من مصر. يا حد بدي أسألك سؤال. أنتم عندكم في المساجد كده مكتوب نويت الاعتكاف في المسجد ما دمت فيه؟ تتذكر الكلمة على في المسجد؟ واللي وراك الشيخ الأخ ما تتذكر تعريفها في المسجد؟ لا ما هي. طيب it looks like it's a بدعة جوردينية بدعة exclusive يا هذه بدعة أردنية فقط بس. طيب we find that this to make i'tikaf as long as I'm in it, it is not right because the i'tikaf has conditions. And i'tikaf has to enter in a certain time we want to talk about, and that is the Prophet of Allah is to make the Fajr prayer, then he enters his i'tikaf. It's before sunrise. So he enters in i'tikaf. But now we come into the point which is a point that is, my dear boy, lower voice. I didn't want to go to bed. Can't give a talking. But the other point which is coming now is that i'tikaf with siyam. Is that a condition? For verily, some of the shuyukh, they said that you must make siyam, fast when you make i'tikaf. So you're fasting while you're making the i'tikaf. First of all, if I'm going to make fasting the i'tikaf, that means if my i'tikaf is obligatory, then I have to fast obligatory with it. I'm not saying this is what I follow, but this is the shuyukh, some of the shuyukh from the Salafi madhab. And also, that when we find we are making i'tikaf on a Saturday, then it becomes also allowed according to what we believe, and because it is compulsory. All of that is actually based upon a hadith from Aisha. And Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah used to abide and adopt this opinion, which is لا اعتكاف إلا بصوم, or لا اعتكاف إلا بالصيام. And here لا اعتكاف, there is no i'tikaf acceptable except if there is a fast. This hadith is from Aisha radiyallahu anha wa ardaha. She said that the Messenger of Allah said لا اعتكاف إلا بالصيام. If that hadith was authentic, then we cannot say except it is a must. You have to fast when you make i'tikaf. But when we look at our Shaykh al-Albani himself in Silsila Da'ifa, which he had arrived to the conclusion later on, the number is 4768. He says لا اعتكاف إلا بالصيام. He says that this hadith is unauthentic. For valid, Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he says in his Tahdhib as-Sunan to Abi Dawud, the people of knowledge, they differed regarding of making the fast a prerequisite in i'tikaf. Some of them, they have made it compulsory, and most of them made it compulsory. From them, Aisha, Ibn Abbas, Ibn Umar, Malik, Abu Hanifa, Ahmad, in one of his narrations. But the Shafi'i madhab and Ahmad in one of his narrations is to be mustahab, recommended, not compulsory. But if that hadith is not authentic, then we are left with to say that this i'tikaf can be done without fasting. So you could do it without fasting, but it's still recommended to do the fast because the Prophet ﷺ, he made the i'tikaf in the last night of Ramadan, and he was, of course, fasting. When you enter the i'tikaf, we say we enter the i'tikaf after praying the Fajr, as the Prophet ﷺ, but our Shaykh al-Albani rahmatullah alayhi, when he was asked about entering the i'tikaf before sunset, on that day, and leaving after one day, he said it is permissible as long as he fasts. And as I said, this is before he came to the conclusion that this hadith is not authentic. What is recommended for the mu'takif to say or to do? It is recommended for the mu'takif is to preoccupy himself with prayer, recitation of the Quran, dhikrullah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also to avoid whatever is not of concern to him, whether it is from the sayings or the actions. So you should not really indulge into chit-chats, because we could find people who make i'tikaf, they find it more appropriate for them to start chit-chatting with others. No, because if you have chit-chat, that means you've got a lot of mistakes. Once you talk a lot, then your mistakes will be a lot. And in husn Islam al-mar, from the beauty of the Islam of a person, is to leave what is not of his concern. So, for verily, qira'at al-Quran, as for to teach the Quran or to teach the knowledge and all of that, for verily, some of the scholars, they said, it is not recommended. It is not a time to teach. It's a time for you to what? To be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if there was something that you needed to address, because you've seen some people that are doing wrong, and you needed to teach them that this is the etiquette of the i'tikaf, yes. But to start to give fiqh classes while you're making i'tikaf, that's not right. To give classes regarding hadith, it's not right. But, as I said, if something needed to be addressed in the i'tikaf, then there is no problem, insha'Allah. So the i'tikaf is a pure ibadah, and the person needs to make sure that he is sincere in his i'tikaf, minimizing his talk, except in reading the Quran and also making the prayers and so on and so forth. By this, alhamdulillah, we could say that the i'tikaf is being discussed, except for a bit of issues, which is where the Shaykh al-Albani says the i'tikaf is feasible. I'm going to be talking about it in the last thing, inshallah. What is permissible for the person who's in i'tikaf to do? It's permissible for him to come out of his i'tikaf for something which is a necessity. Like, for example, nobody's providing him food. He can go out and bring the food for himself. If somebody can provide him the food, then the food, he cannot go out. Prophet of Allah is to get his head out of his masjid, his i'tikaf, in order for his wife to wash it and to comb it for him. So the person will not leave the i'tikaf unless there is an essential. So if there is no facilities of having a wash in this masjid or the mu'takaf, then you go to the house to make your ghusl, to come back if you need to do so. Also, what is permissible is to make wudu, just like we said, it's permissible to make ghusl. And also, it is permissible to take a seclusion tent for yourself, a little tent. Not those people who see them like barriers with curtains where they put themselves into it. That gives you more privacy when you sleep. Okay? And the Prophet ﷺ used to have khida for himself, which is like a small, like little tent inside the masjid. And also, the wife, she's allowed to visit her husband while he's in i'tikaf, and he's allowed to give a farewell to the door of the masjid. So if, for example, in this masjid is a possibility for the wife to meet her husband while he's in i'tikaf, and then she could go and you could really as well accompany her until the door, there's no problem, inshallah, with that. For verily, we find Safiya radiallahu anha, she paid a visit to the Prophet ﷺ during the night, Safiya bint Huyay. And when she's about to be leaving the masjid and the Prophet was with her, there was two men passing by. As soon as they saw the Prophet of Allah with her, they started walking quickly. Prophet of Allah said, take it easy, for verily she is Safiya. He said, subhanallah. That means, we got them doubting you, Messenger of Allah. You don't have to explain that this is Safiya, your wife. He said, verily the shaitan goes into the son of Adam just like the blood goes into his veins. And I was afraid that he will throw something into your heart, which is from the evil, the devil. Or he was, something that maybe she's a woman, she's not his wife, and all of that. So this is just to make sure that I will clarify the situation. Not only that, it is permissible for the woman to make i'tikaf as well on her own or with her husband. not with her husband together, because they cannot make, the intercourse and all of that. But make i'tikaf, because the women are allowed to make i'tikaf as long as there is no fitna. For very Aisha, she said, I made i'tikaf with the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ also had another woman who made i'tikaf as well in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, and it was Salama, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. She made i'tikaf, and she was in istihada, not hayd, istihada. I mean, she used to have blood, but it's not the menses blood. And she used to even put the bowl, like a container underneath her in case the blood will go down, not to pollute the masjid. But that blood is not impure because it's blood of istihada, which is not the hayd. So also the hadith of Aisha, when she said the Prophet ﷺ, he made i'tikaf in the last 10 nights of Ramadan until he had passed away, and his wives, they made i'tikaf after him. No harm that the person making i'tikaf to eat in the masjid, and he put some food in the masjid, but put something underneath for the sake of not to really make the masjid unclean. Now, the person or the man or the husband or the father is allowed to prevent his wife or his daughter not to make i'tikaf. So the Prophet ﷺ, he wanted to make i'tikaf one day after he prayed the Fajr, and he commanded for his tent to be set up, and he made the i'tikaf in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Zainab radiallahu anha bint Jahsh, she had made her khiba, her tent, and she put it as well. And then the other wives, same thing, they made their tents in the masjid. So when the Prophet ﷺ prayed the Fajr, and he saw not one tent, his wives' tents, mashallah, in the masjid. So all of them start jealousy from each other. So the Prophet ﷺ said, are you after righteousness? Are you after righteousness? Is that why you are making this i'tikaf? So he had commanded with the tents to be set down, put down. And he had left the i'tikaf in Ramadan, and until he made i'tikaf in the first days of Shawwal. So the Prophet of Allah, he commanded them to put down their tents, no i'tikaf for you. So he is able, as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a wali, to not to make i'tikaf, because this is not something wajib, it is something recommended. So the Prophet ﷺ, basically, he had told him not to make this i'tikaf. He was afraid that this i'tikaf is not going to be ikhlas. Okay, it's actually, they wanted to get closer to the Prophet ﷺ because they're jealous. They don't, they could want to get jealous. They want to be with the Messenger of Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and that is with jealousy that made them to do that. That's why the Prophet of Allah said to them not to make the i'tikaf. What invalidates the i'tikaf? What time is the Tisa? 9. Which is 11. What makes invalidates the i'tikaf is, number 1, apostasy. Number 2, intercourse, and these are the only 2 that invalidates the i'tikaf. Now, some things which are beneficial as well for you as a mu'takif. Number 1, where is the i'tikaf according to our Shaykh al-Albani rahmatullah? Our Shaykh al-Albani finds that the i'tikaf is only allowed in the 3 masajid, which are the Masjid al-Haram, Mecca, the Masjid al-Aqsa, the Masjid of the Prophet in Medina, and the Masjid al-Aqsa in Bayt al-Maqdis. Those are the only 3 masajid which our Shaykh al-Albani says that they are allowed, for verily, because of a hadith narrated by Hudayfa ibn al-Yaman radiallahu anhu, when he said that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, لا اعتكاف إلا في المساجد الثلاثة. There is no i'tikaf except in the 3 masajid, which is Masjid al-Haram, and my masjid, Masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, and the Masjid al-Aqsa. And this is, as I said, our opinion of our Shaykh al-Albani, because this hadith according to him is authentic. If you see that the Shaykh al-Albani authentically in this hadith is correct, and then you believe that this hadith stands its ground, then There is no i'tikaf except at least at the masajid. But we do understand that the other scholars, they said it is allowed. But remember, it is a masjid like this, Masjid Jami', masjid called the Jumu'ah, not in the house or in a musalla. From the beneficial things as well that we could learn, that if some people, they see that coming out from the masjid even for a little time would invalidate the i'tikaf, we say that there is no proof for that. You cannot just say there is no proof that in coming out of the masjid even for a little bit would invalidate it. We could scratch your i'tikaf, but it would not invalidate it. The Shaykh al-Albani of ours, he had been asked, coming out of the i'tikaf for no reason, for a bit, coming back, for no reason. Does that invalidate the i'tikaf? He said no, for verily it will belittle its reward, because we don't have a proof. As for the apostasy, وَلَئِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ أَوْ لَئِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ عَمَلُكَ. If you commit shirk, then all your deeds will be invalidated. As for the jima' وَلَا تُبَاشِرُوهُنَّ وَأَنْتُمْ عَاكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ. Do not intercourse with them while you are making i'tikaf. So we have proof for these two, but we don't have other proofs for that. Istihada does not prevent women from making i'tikaf. It does not prevent her from making salah, or it does not as well exempt her from fasting. She should fast as well. She could fast, she must fast in Ramadan, she must pray, and she could as well make the tawaf as well for Hajj and Umrah. For verily Salama, she made i'tikaf when she had the istihada on her. So no problem, inshallah. Some of the scholars, they said that if the person became insane, that it will invalidate the fast or invalidate the i'tikaf, and there is no proof for that. Invalidate the fast, there's no proof for that. So if the person had lost his brains, it does not invalidate the fast, and there is no proof for that. Imam Shafi'i says the person had gone insane in his i'tikaf, and then he had stayed in his i'tikaf, and I should say the i'tikaf, not the fast. He should say the i'tikaf for years. Then he had woken up, then he could just continue making that i'tikaf. And our Shaykh al-Albani was asked about the insanity, the person became insane, like for example, he slept, and then he woke up. So he said, yes, insanity is like sleeping, and a person who woke up, and he's still in the intention of the i'tikaf, for verily he will continue his i'tikaf, just like also the menses and the postnatal does not invalidate the i'tikaf, but they prevent the person from praying. They don't prevent the person from coming into the masjid or making dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Woman who has menses, she's allowed to come to the masjid, she's allowed to make dhikr of Allah, but she's not allowed to pray, she's allowed to make i'tikaf. Some of the scholars, they said that if the person had kissed his wife, it will invalidate his i'tikaf. It will invalidate. Some of them, he said, it does not invalidate i'tikaf unless he had ejaculated. And our Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah, he said that this even exception, we don't say it. There's no proof for it, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تُبَاشِرُوهُنْ. Don't intercourse with them. So there's nothing to do with ejaculation when you kiss and all of that. Also, the Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah, he was asked about what Shaykh Sayyid Sabiq said in Fiqh al-Sunnah regarding the Imam al-Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi, that if the person did not have nadr, which is a vow of i'tikaf, and he was a person who is voluntary and he left, then there is no compensation upon him. He said, for verily, this is correct. So if you have made an i'tikaf and you decided not to continue, there is no compensation, because it is like what? A voluntary fast. When you make a voluntary fast and you break it, you don't have to make up for that day. By which, alhamdulillah, we have finished the i'tikaf and the fast. Next week we will talk about the battles of the Prophet ﷺ that took place in Ramadan, starting with the Battle of Badr and finishing with the battle or the regaining of Mecca, Fatah Mecca. For that, inshallah, if you have any question within the next 3-4 minutes before we let you, inshallah, to get ready for the prayer. Now.
Can you expand on that?
He's saying that basically we have read the Shaykh al-Albani say that the person in dua al-qunut, qunut al-witr, is to stick to the words that the Prophet of Allah taught Al-Hasan radiallahu anhu, Allahumma hdina fi man hadayt, until he says, La malja'a wa la manja minka illa ilayk, and then passing salutation upon the Prophet of Allah sometimes and all the times. Is that correct? Or what is that? Yes, Shaykh al-Albani's opinion is that dua al-qunut al-witr in all the year is to stick with that, and the addition is only in the last 15 nights of Ramadan. Why the exemption here? The exemption is because the companions after the 15th night of Ramadan, it was narrated from Ka'b ibn Malik, from Ubay ibn Ka'b, from all these companions that they used to add onto the dua al-qunut something which is to do with, oh Allah, grant us the victory against our enemies. Oh Allah, defeat our enemies. Oh Allah, make the mujahideen victorious. This dua becomes now not just dua of qunut witr, becomes a qunut with a nazila. And that is why it is allowed for such qunut after the 15th of Ramadan to be done after the ruku', not before the ruku'. Where the qunut is supposed to be before the ruku'. And another issue. The qunut of the witr is not to be done regularly. Supposed to be most of the time, there is no qunut. The qunut is to be done not all the time. So if a person looks at Ramadan, it's supposed to be less qunut than there is more qunut. Why? Prophet of Allah, he had prayed the last, the only prayer of the qunut of his, there were 3 nights, 23rd, 25th and 27th night of Ramadan, nothing else. He prayed those several times. Okay, so 1 minute. And in those nights, he led the prayer, none of them had qunuted. None of them. So, the person makes qunut, and I don't really agree with that qunut that takes a long time, even after the 15th of Ramadan, where the people, he puts his hands up, and then he puts it down, because he's so tired, up. I think the person should be really a light qunut, and stick to the word of the Prophet ﷺ up to the 15th night, and after that, he's allowed to add extra, Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. There is more to it as well. Well, because of the time, we have to stop, inshallah. Subhanakallah, bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.